You're listening to the Port City Podcast, where Portsmouth businessmen and women take the mic. Now on to the show with your hosts, Ben Van Camp and Jen Stevens.
All right, welcome everybody. This is the first episode of what we're calling the Port City Podcast. My name is Ben Van Camp. I'm the Vice President of What's Next at the Chamber Collaborative of Greater Portsmouth. I'm here with Jen Stevens.
And I work with communications and events at the Chamber Collaborative. And we're here with Peter Labrie.
Yeah, but first, this is our first podcast, so I'm going to intro it just for a second. We decided to do a podcast because we wanted to have a new tool to communicate with the business community and the Portsmouth community at large, and to really share stories of people in our community doing great things, fun things that not everyone gets to hear about. So that's what this is all about. You're going to hear stories from us, hopefully every 2 weeks, of just cool things happening in the business community of Portsmouth. So we're here with Peter Labrie today. If you don't know Peter, you may know some of his establishments. He is co-owner of the Atlantic Grill and the River House Restaurant. Above and beyond that, he is very active in our local community. He's a bit of a philanthropist. He's also recently, I think we can consider you a developer now, because we got a great project going on downtown that we're going to talk about. Restaurateur, businessman, a little bit of everything, right? Like cover it all?
I keep myself busy, let's just put it that way.
Yes, you do.
And he's a really good chamber person, because every year for Restaurant Week, he's the guy who goes to the Lindt chocolate factory, so to speak, and gets a truckload of like 60 or so cases of chocolate and carries them all back to us. So that's something I'm thankful for.
And depending on the flavor, most of them make it back to the chamber.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm thankful for those. My waistline, not so much. But anyways, they're delicious. So we're just going to chat today, talk a little bit about everything going on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? How'd you get into the restaurant business?
My father and brother tried to talk me out of the restaurant industry for decades, but I had this passion going back to junior high of just always wanting to open a restaurant. I actually have notebooks going back all the way to 7th and 8th grade with ideas that I had jotted down as I went to different restaurants growing up. And as I matured, so did the business plan. And over the course of 20 some odd years, the River House was the final culmination of all those ideas.
Awesome. When did the River House open its doors?
We're actually at Hit the Decks, which is coming up this season. We'll be celebrating our 10th anniversary.
Nice. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
And the River House will be our headquarters for Hit the Decks as well, and that's on May 16th. So
Cool.
Everyone get ready to hit the decks.
Yes. Awesome.
I was wondering what your first Seacoast job in the hospitality industry was.
That goes way back to when I was bartending at Poco Diablo's. That was back when Poco's had the original deck, which was right pretty much on the butt end of the tugboats. Mm-hmm. Seems like forever ago.
Very nice. So you started right out as a bartender. That's great. As
a bartender, 2 doors up from the River House.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't go far. And so now you have both the River House and the Atlantic Grill. How long ago did the Atlantic Grill come to be, and why did you choose Rye, and how tell us that story?
The property that the Atlantic Grill is on, we had owned for more than a decade probably, and we're waiting for time to develop it. Mm-hmm. And with the success of the River House, we decided that a second location was something we wanted to do, and it just seemed like a natural place for the second restaurant. It's kind of the gateway for anything north and west of the beaches, mm-hmm. to go through that intersection. And with all the issues that Portsmouth had been having with parking downtown Portsmouth, having mm-hmm. a great big parking lot outside doesn't hurt.
Not at all. Definitely. And you mentioned the other day that you had just come from something called, I believe, Family Meal. Is that what you called it?
Family Meal.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, at the Atlantic Grill, we're not open Monday through Thursdays for lunch, but we always have, depending on the day, 6, 8, 10 people working in the building. So we talked to our chef about having, it's basically whatever he feels like cooking that day, he puts out a family meal for anybody in the building. And we include, last week we had some HVAC guys working in the building.
Nice.
We said, hey, take a break, come downstairs. And we had, I forget what we had that day, burgers that day, I believe.
Cool.
And do you actually eat next to each other, sitting down, that sort of thing?
It all depends. I mean, because like on any given day, I'm running to meetings, I'm running to podcasts.
Right.
And some days I sit at the bar by myself and have something to eat, or some days if everybody's there, we have a makeshift meeting and we pull everybody together and we eat together.
That's great.
Awesome.
So it's fun.
And I know you're pretty active in the community, and you're on some boards and supportive of a lot of community organizations. You're certainly supportive of the Chamber Collaborative, and we're very appreciative of all that. Tell us a little bit about how you pick these things that you're passionate about, how you get involved in these things, and some of the big causes that you support.
Those kind of come at us left and right all the time.
Sure.
It just kind of through day to day, you just kind of get involved with certain people, and some of their passions are contagious, and you just start working with them. Like Lydia's House of Hope, which is up north in Somersworth, we sponsored a road race, local road race, and we went there to accept a plaque that they had for us. And while we were there, they were talking about their strategies in regards to how they're helping these women get back up on their feet, and it was just a wonderful story. And next thing you know, my wife and I are up in Somersworth getting a tour from the facility, and we kind of fell in love with the girls that they had taken in and their kids that they had there on site, and we've been involved with them ever since. It's just it's just whatever pulls at your heartstrings.
Right.
But
Definitely.
my father was raised in Portsmouth, and he always kind of instilled in Mike and I, the community's good to you, make sure you give back to the community. So that's kind of how we got along. The Puddle Duck Pond, which is a big project that my father was involved in, and the music hall, Prescott Park with the concert series.
Yeah.
It's just all things that we love being a part of it.
That's great. I mean, and those last three things alone are three very iconic things to Portsmouth, and it's great to see your support of those things. And they're just, Portsmouth wouldn't be Portsmouth today without the music hall, without Prescott Park Arts Festival, and in the wintertime with the Puddle Duck Pond and the skating. It's such a great family activity, all three of those. That's just wonderful that you're able to support and give back like that.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been gratifying.
Cool.
So which of the places that you're a part of is the most Peter-like, and why?
Most Peter-like. I'd have to say the River House, just because it was, as I said earlier, one of those dreams that I had for so many years. And they say follow your dreams, but it took forever to get it open. And once we got it open, it just kind of took on a personality of itself. But I'm more of a casual, person. I enjoy going down to the waterfront, nice cold beer, sitting on the edge of the water, watching the boats go by. And it's kind of fun, especially on a real busy weekend, to kind of go find a corner in the deck with a beer and just kind of look back at all the moving parts. And it's still mind-blowing that it all comes together so fluidly sometimes. We get a phenomenal management staff, but it's just kind of fun to watch.
It's
Very nice.
definitely one of those iconic places. Like, I don't know, when I have people visit, we usually end up there for either a drink or something. It just happens that way. We're always stopping in there. It's perfect.
And you're among good neighbors too, as well.
Oh yeah, the whole waterfront. It's kind of fun. I was actually talking to my executive chef over there the other day in regards to some of the local establishments, and everybody has everybody's back down on the waterfront.
Yeah.
Whether it's not a pound of sugar, but it's just a good expression.
Yeah.
You need a cup of sugar.
Yeah.
You can go left or right out of our back door at the River House, and when you hit the next door to the kitchen, they're going to help you out.
That's
Definitely.
cool. That's great. So, the River House is a big place. How many seats is it? It's got to be quite a bit.
It's just over 340 seats.
That's a big establishment. And so on a busy day, summer day, how many people are working there in a day? It's got to be.
Oh, geez. I usually have these numbers off the top of my head, but it's good 30 people that are.
Yeah, I would think so.
And you have multiple shifts.
Yep.
First cooks through the door. The prep cooks are through the door at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Deliveries up until 11. You open the doors at 11 o'clock. You go on a wait at 11:30, and you're off for the day.
Yeah. And is the workforce issue still every day, like having trouble finding staff, or do you have enough of a team now where you're okay?
It goes from season to season. Obviously, in the winter season, we cut back a lot on the number of staff that we have, and we hire 20, 30 people going into the summer. Back of house is typically a little bit harder to find those skilled, back of house employees. Mm-hmm. But again, we have a phenomenal management team down there, and they do a great job hiring. Yeah. And hiring is one thing, but retaining those good people, the grass is always greener on the other side. And
yeah.
You have some other restaurants that, you start getting into the summer season, they get competitive, they start throwing an extra
Wait,
dollar here,
restaurants
extra
wouldn't
dollar
poach
there.
people.
No,
come on,
never,
crazy.
never. But it's definitely a tough area to fill those back of house. Bring back the trades is kind of like a ground rush movement that's going on, and we support that wholeheartedly because it's tough to find skilled people these days.
Yeah, we're working very closely with the culinary program at the Portsmouth High School. They're doing great work over there. About to get a new CTE director there, so hopefully that'll continue to bear some fruit and get some people out there interested in the culinary profession. It's not for everyone, but it's good. It's a great career path.
Yep.
Well, I was curious if you listened to any podcasts.
Have I listened to any?
Yeah.
Besides this one,
I was
going.
going to say, beside this one, I listen to a lot of different things online, but nothing pops into my head
No,
as
it's
in
okay.
regards to recent ones.
Well,
but
what about when you're in your car? What do you listen to? Just curious.
usually when I'm in my car, I'm on the phone.
Oh, all right. But you have
Or
like
On
a
hands-free,
Right,
of
oh,
course,
yeah,
of
of
course.
Yeah.
All right. Then you're okay.
Well, I wanted to talk about the big exciting project downtown on Congress Street. It's 135 Congress Street. You guys have taken on a monster of a project there. People might know it as the Sake restaurant in recent years. Going back, it was a YMCA originally. It was a clothing store for a long time. So it's been, a bunch of different things over time. But give us the overview of the 135 Congress project.
You're right, it's a big project. And when my brother Mike and I kind of took it on, we really didn't know what it was going to be when it grew up. We just saw a great opportunity to get into a building that had a lot of deferred maintenance. The first floor where Sake was, obviously they kept that updated. But everything above the Sake first floor really hadn't been touched since the 50s. When Mike and I went in to first look at the building, we went up the stairs and we walked into what we're calling the performance level, where it still had the original proscenium arch, the original wood floors, 23-foot ceilings, if I remember correctly. And we're just blown away that this space has sat downtown Portsmouth for that many years without having any type of
Going to
use.
waste, yeah.
My brother Mike had a little bit of a theater background, and he has always wanted to have a music venue. It's just one of his passions, much like mine in the restaurant. And when he first presented the idea of putting a music venue up there, I was kind of skeptical. You had the music hall across the street, and the more we talked about it, the more it seemed to come together as just a really cool idea for downtown Portsmouth. Like they say, like attracts like. We're not trying to compete with the music hall.
No.
We think it'll actually just bring more people in and just bring more excitement to the area.
Yeah.
And I think back to the times when I was younger, we used to come downtown Portsmouth and think, which place do we want to go to listen to really good live music?
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to have just kind of gone away or gone to the side a little bit. And we'd love to bring that back to Portsmouth so you can go down and listen to, this will be a jazz blues type venue.
Mm-hmm.
And, old school smoky blues. And we're going to be bringing in, headliners from around the country.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, knock on wood, just a phenomenal music destination. End of 2020 we're looking at.
That's
So,
awesome.
Long project.
So we were lucky enough to get a personal tour from you of the space. And do you remember what music you played for us?
Oh, geez. No.
No?
What did I play?
Well, I'm not sure either, actually. I thought it might have been David Brubeck. But you did mention, can you imagine, and you did drop a name, and I know it might be your brother who was more into the theater and musical aspect, but who would you have play your new venue if being alive was the only requirement?
Oh, geez. I've never been a huge, I enjoy listening to jazz and blues.
Okay, that's fine.
I can't say that I have a list of jazz blues artists on my phone that I listen to on a daily basis.
It could be anybody. It doesn't have to be jazz or blues.
Well, I'd love to bring, Grateful Dead in there and have a little, Dead setup in there, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Awesome. So I think the best place for people to see what's going on there, and kudos to you and your brother, and I believe Ocean was her name, for meticulously documenting every aspect of that work. The Facebook page, 135 Congress, is phenomenal. And every day there's something going on there, the pictures, the video, and to get a glimpse of what's going on there. I encourage everyone to like that, check that out, because the work is really cool, and it's awesome that you're documenting that and can share that story with the community, because it really is going to be a community gem, I think.
Well, thank you. It's been a tremendous amount of work to date, and having Ocean come in and, we thought she could start just doing some posts on Facebook, but right off the bat, she just took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
She started interviewing the workers, taking videos of the workers and getting, opinions from them on what they were doing and how they were doing it. She did some research in regards to the history of the building and found out some things that, Mike and I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And she's just, like you said, just really took it to an awesome level in regards to being able to communicate that to the public.
Yeah, she's telling the story perfectly. It's a great page for people to check out.
Yeah, I mean, having very slowly, painstakingly disassembled the inside of that building, so we're trying to preserve as much of the original wood trim and a lot of the little nuances that you don't want to just have disappear. We found, old coloring books that had fallen down into different crevices in the walls. We found ping pong balls. It used to be the YMCA, so there was a ping pong table up there.
Those things end up anywhere.
Yeah, they go everywhere. A lot of liquor bottles and beer bottles. Being a men's club upstairs, there was transient housing for men upstairs, and they used to probably sneak the beer cans into the building, and they had to get rid of them somehow, so they probably found a hole in the wall and stuck them in the wall.
Sure.
But it's been a real fun project in regards to the little things we found. Awesome. Never did find that pot of gold coins, but
the gold brick.
We're still hoping.
Yeah.
Is there a room or region of 135 Congress that gives you the shivers?
There was one room when Mike and I just took over the building, and we're kind of walking around brainstorming on what we were going to do. And we realized that there was about 8 or 10 feet by 20 feet missing out of a corner of the top floor. And we actually figured out that for some reason, we still don't know why, someone had walled off an entire room. And the wall section was original, so it goes back to like the 50s when this happened.
Yeah.
And we punched a hole in the wall, and poked our head in there, and there was a room in there that had just been closed off. It was empty, other than a calendar on the wall from, I think it was 1952.
Wow.
Wow.
So there's a window way up high in this room that when they had run the fire sensing wires and stuff that came to code back in the day, we think somebody popped open that window to run the wire, and there might have been something in that room, and it grew legs that day. But again, this is all hypothetical. But that room is.
That's a good story.
We will probably never know what was in that room.
I may not want to know what
Right.
was in there.
No.
You never know.
We were thinking, were there bones in the corners?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for being here. It's our first podcast. We're excited to do it, and we're excited to share these stories with the community. So check out the River House, the Atlantic Grill, 135 Congress, all the concert series. I mean, you guys sponsor every concert series around, I think, this summer. At the Seco Science Center, at Prescott Park,
Yeah.
Music Hall.
And it's Restaurant Week this week.
There
It's
you
Restaurant
go.
Week this week. Well, hopefully we'll get this
Eat
out
out.
next week. So
Yeah.
still be
You
be
can keep
restaurant.
Catch a
eating.
day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Awesome.
we're delighted to have you. Big thanks to PPM TV for hosting us. We're here in their studio today, and they've been huge and super supportive of all our efforts to bring video to the Chamber Collaborative, and they're fantastic. So big thank you to those folks, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.